There are certain Sundays that feel different. Days when football arrives not as a source of anxiety, but as a reward, a moment to breathe, to enjoy, and to witness the bigger picture. And for Chicago fans, this is one of those rare, beautiful Sundays. The kind where you wake up, stretch a little, look at the standings, and realize, for once, the entire league feels just a little smaller compared to what your team is building. Chicago enters the week sitting at 9-3, owning not just a strong record but a sense of identity that has been missing for years. Discipline, confidence, and grit, the kind of qualities that aren't found on stat sheets yet define the teams that make real postseason noise. Right now, Chicago holds the number 2 seed in the NFC, and the gap between them and the top spot suddenly doesn't feel exaggerated or unrealistic. In fact, depending on how today's matchups unfold, Chicago could reasonably walk out of this week with the top seed in the conference. Think about how wild that is. A franchise that has spent so many years searching for stability, stuck in rebuilds, stuck in uncertainty, now waking up on a calm Sunday with control of its own destiny. That's the kind of season that feels special, not for a single moment, but for the entire journey. And today's slate of matchups, even with several games already played earlier in the week, still carries meaning for Chicago's path forward. 3 games on Thanksgiving shaped part of the picture. The Black Friday matchup added another layer. And yes, that game brought plenty of conversation on its own, good, bad, or chaotic depending on your perspective. But before diving into the full Week 13 rooting guide, before analyzing who Bears fans should be cheering for today, and before breaking down the implications of each matchup, there's something important to cover. Something that actually helps Chicago directly. An update that will affect how the next few weeks unfold, especially with a certain rivalry looming on the schedule not once, but twice. And if there's one thing Bears fans don't need today, it's stress. This is a day to sit back, enjoy football, and still keep an eye toward January. But as any Chicago fan knows, even rest days come with drama, and sometimes that drama works entirely in your favor. Now let's talk about the headline that's already sending ripples across the division. Chicago isn't just enjoying a well-earned Sunday. They're entering a stretch where the schedule tilts in their favor, and not just because of their record. The team they'll see twice over the next 3 weeks, the rival that tends to heat up late in the season, has taken a major blow. Green Bay's defensive interior, already inconsistent this season, just suffered a huge setback. One of their key defensive tackles, Devonte Wyatt, is expected to miss the remainder of the regular season, and very likely all meaningful football beyond that. Reports indicate that he's dealing with what appears to be a season-ending ankle injury. For Chicago, the timing of this news could not be more significant. Wyatt isn't just another body in the rotation. He's been a disruptive force, one of the few players in the middle who consistently applies pressure, adds strength against the run, and occasionally breaks plays wide open with burst and leverage. His 4 sacks on the season only tell part of the story. His presence helped shape the rhythm of the defense. Losing him means Green Bay now faces Chicago twice with a weaker interior and far fewer options to mask that weakness. For Chicago's offense, an offense that has shown improved rhythm, timing, and confidence, this matters. Running lanes become easier to develop. Pocket stability improves. Play action becomes more dangerous. The entire offensive blueprint for these rivalry matchups can suddenly expand, allowing Chicago to exploit mismatches that didn't exist before. And beyond the X's and O's, there's the emotional impact. Rivalry games rely on momentum, swagger, and physicality. Losing a starting defensive tackle this late in the year strips Green Bay of a crucial piece of that identity. And with 2 Bears-Packers matchups coming in such close proximity, games that could decide playoff seeding, playoff qualification, or even the division race, every edge matters. Chicago enters this stretch healthy, confident, and trending upward. Green Bay enters it wounded, scrambling, and suddenly forced to reconsider how they defend a Chicago offense that is beginning to find its muscle. And speaking of momentum, here's something important if you want to stay connected with all the updates, analysis, and breaking developments through the rest of this season. If you're enjoying this journey and want daily coverage, breaking updates, and deep dive analysis delivered in the most engaging way possible, make sure to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page. Not only does it help support our work, but it ensures you never miss an update as Chicago pushes toward what could be one of the most memorable finishes in recent franchise history. Turn on notifications, stay connected, and be part of the excitement, especially as rivalry week approaches. Now, back to the storylines on the field. Chicago is watching today's results carefully. Every game has postseason implications. Every matchup shifts the standings slightly. Today might be a rest day, but it's still a day that shapes everything about the road ahead. With the Packers weakened, with Chicago positioned near the top of the conference, and with the league's playoff picture tightening, every rooting interest today matters. And that's what we'll break down next. This is where the quiet Sunday becomes strategic. Even without Chicago on the field, Week 13 carries weight. The NFC playoff picture is layered, tight, and unpredictable, and every bit of chaos can either help or hurt Chicago depending on who emerges from these matchups. First, let's address the significance of seeding. Holding the number 2 seed is valuable, but the number 1 seed remains the golden ticket. It comes with the first-round bye, home field advantage, and the psychological boost that comes with knowing the conference runs through your building. Chicago hasn't been in legitimate contention for that spot in years, yet here they are, staring straight at it. Today's games, including ones already played earlier this week, directly affect how that battle unfolds. The Thanksgiving results shifted momentum slightly. The Black Friday outcome reshaped another piece of the puzzle. And now, with the rest of the weekend slate set to unfold, Chicago fans have a full rooting guide to follow, even though the team isn't taking a snap. The main objective? Cheer for anything and everything that disrupts the teams sitting closest to Chicago in the standings. Every loss from a top contender widens Chicago's window. Every slip-up in the NFC strengthens Chicago's foothold. But beyond the conference race, there is another storyline worth watching closely: the division itself. The NFC North is entering a stretch where the Bears can officially flip the hierarchy that has existed for years. Chicago has the chance not just to make the postseason, but to claim a true power position in the division. That shift becomes even more likely with Green Bay losing a defensive anchor and with upcoming head-to-head battles carrying extra significance. The rivalry matchups will matter. The late-season schedule will matter. And today's games, even without Chicago playing, will matter. These are the weeks when playoff teams are forged, not by what they do on the field alone, but by what unfolds around them. Chicago is sitting in the perfect position to take advantage of every single development. This team isn't only better than expected, it's smarter, more poised, and more connected than it has been in years. That type of season doesn't come often. And when it does, you treat every week like another chapter in a story that could turn into something unforgettable. So enjoy this calm Sunday. Enjoy watching the chaos unfold across the league. And enjoy knowing that, for once, the Chicago Bears aren't the ones relying on miracles, they're the ones creating them.